All right, what is up? What's good with y'all? I'm back. Damo, the political plug. This is the Chop Up Show. And just for the sake of transparency, before we get it started, I'm gonna need y'all assistance. Again, as y'all, for those who was able to join me yesterday, y'all saw there was some technical issues, some technical difficulties. Just putting y'all up on game. I do have a whole new setup. I got a whole new computer. Shout out to the boy Chris in the building. I got a whole new setup, whole new computer, all new type of software and all this type of shit. Really trying to get the level of the quality of the live streams up, because I ain't been happy with the quality of the past few live streams just based on the technology that's been available. So y'all let me know how it's coming off sounding, how it's looking. You know what I'm saying? Just to make sure that we own, you know what I'm saying? We it's looking like how it need to be looking. You feel me? Because the conversation I wanted to have yesterday, niggas wasn't able to fully have because of, you know, issues with, you know what I'm saying, the technology, the software. So Chris, J Universe, y'all in the chat, let me know how it sounded. Danielle, good to see you too. And it just looked better, right? It looked better than yesterday, right? Like, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's just, you know what I mean? I just had to get the technology right. That's all. You feel me? Chris said I need some neon lights. Hey, nah, I ain't going that far yet. But anyway, to get the conversation started though, we talking about Tucker Carlson still. Now I did bring up Don Lemon yesterday, but I'm gonna be honest, I don't really got a lot to say about Don Lemon being fired. I don't really think that it's like, oh my God, he was done, so he was done bad. I'm not looking at Tucker or Don Lemon. I don't like CNN. They was bought out by a conservative. You feel me? As we kind of discussed yesterday. So really, Don Lemon was on his way out anyway. I don't trust cable media or excuse me, cable news. So it's like, forget CNN, because I know we still in the first couple minutes anyway. You know what I mean? So it's forget CNN. So I don't really have a lot to say about what happened with Don Lemon. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like what happened with him is just kind of the way things go, right? But with Tucker Carlson, it's a little bit different, because what's going on with Tucker Carlson, him leaving Fox News, as we kind of discussed briefly yesterday, actually made him that much more dangerous. Because what we're going to talk about today isn't just the fact that they got fired, right? But the impact that somebody like Tucker Carlson has on the people who want to do black people harm. The impact that people like Tucker Carlson has on the people that want to do black people harm. Because I stand on the fact, I said it yesterday, I'm going to repeat it every time I go live, whether we doing the Chop Up Show or shout out to my man Chris. I'm going to do my own morning show. We're going to call this Morning Smoke. You feel me? Where each morning we're going to get up and we Good Morning America is a thing, right? But to be honest, I don't think, it's certain mornings where America don't deserve a good morning. Sometimes America deserves some smoke. You feel me? So, we're going to start bringing that to y'all in the morning with these types of conversations. And as a part of the conversation that I'm trying to have with y'all is recognizing our political enemies. As y'all heard me bring up a million times, recognizing our political enemies. Now, we briefly kind of talked about what I mean by political enemies yesterday. But now that I got everything set up, everything good, everything, much better than it was, now we can really get into what I wanted to show y'all yesterday in terms of why these people are our political enemies. All right, so I'm gonna go to this clip. And y'all let me know. Let's make sure y'all can hear it first.
Justin Pearson wasn't white. That's probably how he got into Bowdoin in the first place. But he did a fantastic impression of it. What a nice young man. Has he considered the apprenticeship program at Citibank?
Now y'all can hear that, right? Let me know if y'all, let's make sure we can hear that as we continue. Because y'all have to hear the bullshit that this man be on in order for it to be understood. Y'all let me know if y'all can't hear the video. So let me run it back. I'm gonna start it back from the get-go. Let's get it.
Justin Pearson wasn't white. That's probably how he got into Bowdoin in the first place. But he did a fantastic impression of it. What a nice young man, as he can.
Now, first of all, this clown just said to get into college, this man had to do an impression. He said Justin Pearson's not white, but he did the best impression of a white person. What? This is what I'm trying to tell y'all people. When folks is up here talking about talking proper is not talking white, tell that to white people. Tell that to white people. Because simply based on this brother speaking articulately, right? Tucker Carlson is painting and characterizing him as he's not white, but he did his best impression of a white person by speaking clearly, by speaking properly. Let's go.
The apprenticeship program at Citibank? That was the old Justin Pearson before his transition. Here he is now on the floor of the Tennessee State House.
His transition. Let's see what he's considering his transition.
All hope seemed to be lost. Representatives were thrown out of the State House. Democracy seemed to be at its end.
And see, this is really a part of the reason why I got a little bit of a problem with this type, because I don't have a problem with Justin Pearson. It's just that it can come off like a caricature, and then our political enemies can recognize that and try to run with that. Right? Like he's going from saying, oh, he was this respectable white man. He was this respectable talking white man. And now this is what he sounds like. He sounds like a pastor. That's my only, that's why I would say we would need to find a better way to talk. But that's a conversation that we as black people have internally. This clown ain't got really, it has no space to be speaking on how white people or how black people talk. Whether we speak proper and speak clear and articulate, or we speak with this poetic vibrato, right? Regardless, Tucker Carlson is displaying the ways in which white people in the white racist brain pathologizes, it stereotypes. It makes concrete the way that they understand the way black people are seen. Because then what he said is he went from this black man that speaks like a white boy, and then he got elected, and now he talks like this.
Seemed like the NRA and gun lobbyists might win. But oh, that was good news for us. I don't know how long this Saturday in the state of Tennessee might last. But oh, we have good news, folks. We've got good news that Sunday always comes.
Justin Pearson has a dream that
the disrespect. Now, first of all, even with any criticism that I may have of people that talk like that, or people, or somebody who's, they public speaking voice is like that, right? That ain't my public speaking voice, but my public speaking voice is this. But people who speak like that, I ain't got no problem with, because I know that resonates with church going folk. That resonates with people that grew up in the church. That resonates with people still in the church. So when the man is speaking from that with that tone, right, with that type of poetic nature, what's happening is that's a cultural conversation. The term that to be used is called affect, AFFEKT, and it actually has a K. It's a philosophical term that refers to the ways in which there are emotions that are expressed, but they can only be felt. You can't necessarily explain it, but it's cultural dynamics that are felt and represented, as opposed to just being able to say, I talk like this for this reason, right? Because it's called getting the spirit. And so for Tucker Carlson to turn around and I have a dream, but one, that's an example of how white people don't recognize the survival strategy known as code switching. We got to be able, what he's calling a change of tune, he's ignoring the fact that the way black people talk naturally is demonized in popular culture. It's demonized in society. It's demonized in workplace. It's demonized in politics. One of the most specific examples that I heard from a philosopher, George Yancey, when he talked about when he had wrote a book, or wrote an article actually, and it was all in African American vernacular. It was all in what we would consider slang. He wrote the book like how black people talk. And a white philosopher approached him and was like, yo, I love the work. It was amazing. Astounding. Also, everybody in here, make sure y'all hit that like button. But why did you write it like that? Why did you write it in that tone? Why did you write it, speaking like those people? And Yancey's response is like that, because that's how we talk. I was expressing, or what Yancey was expressing was a particular vernacular, with what's called African American Vernacular English, AAVE, or Ebonics, as it's colloquially called. But even Yancey, this recognized, distinguished philosopher, the people can tell them that they appreciate his work, but how the tone and the language that he wrote it in, they wasn't comfortable with. Tucker Carlson talk about, I have a dream. It's a joke to them. So already Tucker Carlson is already somebody who was working to normalize the ways in which our survival strategies are to be demonized. The way that our ways of understanding and speaking and communicating should be demonized. That's the first thing he displaying with this. The second is, again, the complete disrespect for Dr. King. It was a caricature. This is why when these people constantly bring up Dr. King and what he would like and what he would do, it's a joke, because y'all don't respect him. They ain't got no love for what he stand for what Dr. King represented. But this is, again, why Tucker Carlson is our political enemy. Specifically, he is more of our enemy. As much we can complain about Joe Biden, we can complain about Donald Trump. Tucker Carlson is more dangerous than all of them. He touched more people than all of them. More people listen to him than all of them. And he was placed on. He was kind of way back, right? They had a collar on him at Fox News. Even though he was working to normalize the ways in which black people are demonized by fringe white nationalist beliefs. Because the shit that Tucker Carlson was on was complete bullshit. What we would consider fringe white nationalist beliefs. And he was putting that on to mainstream audiences. They just let him go. What is he going to do now that he can operate in the spaces of independent media? He's going to be able to reach even more people who believe and think like this and look at black people from this perspective. We're going to talk about people like Alex Jones, who has never enjoyed mainstream media success, but at the same time still has no problem gaining an audience of millions. Let's continue. Tucker.
One day on the red hills of Georgia, everyone will do exactly what he wants or else face indictment by the Department of Justice. Justin Pearson has changed quite dramatically, as you can see.
The man has not changed. He has gained a level of influence where he can be his true self without having to bow down and kowtow to the standards of respectability that black people are forced to endure.
Transition from a crypto white kid into the modern incarnation of Martin Luther King Jr.
And this is why I hate when white people talk about who talk white, who act white, who talk black, and who act black. I get it when black people do it, even though I also see what's problematic about it. But when white people do it, y'all there's a complete misunderstanding. I'm a nigga who let Leah Toya tell you, I like shit like anime. I play like George say, I play white kid video games, right? I grew up watching Yu-Gi-Oh, shit like that. I've never felt like that was like I was more of a white boy because of that shit. I debated in high school. Debated in college. The shit debate was my life. That shit was that's what I dedicated the 20 years of my life to. Debate is seen as a white activity. It ain't a near black person participating in the activity of debate that's trying to be white. But when we're trying to tell ourselves, hey, these things ain't white, these things ain't my nigga. They're calling it, they're saying that it's theirs. That's what we have to be weary of. They're saying that it's theirs. So instead of fighting black people for the ways in which the way that these things get painted, recognize they have an idea of what black people do and what they don't do. Tucker Carlson was one of the people that was comfortable enough in his whiteness to get up on here and say it. being empowered by the likes of people like Donald Trump.
Himself. It's remarkable, really. But he's not alone in that. You see this all the time. Everybody in the Democratic Party wants to be Martin Luther King at this point. Even Joe Biden, who during the famous March on Washington was enjoying the many benefits of life as a college student in a racially segregated state. Now, he's MLK. They all are. But you got to ask yourself, as long as we're mimicking civil rights leaders who died almost 60 years ago, why not some variety? You never see politicians transition into, say, Malcolm X. Why is that? Maybe because Malcolm X didn't talk like a sharecropper. He spoke.
The disrespect. Yo, when people are trying to figure out why we shouldn't fuck with conservative media and why we shouldn't fuck with people like Tucker Carlson, watch him and find out. This shit is dangerous. He'll get up here and literally tell you, why don't people act like switch it up and talk like people who don't talk like sharecroppers? You don't want to hear him talk like Malcolm X, sir. Tucker. Do you know what he would have said if he would have got up there talking like Malcolm X? Do you know how uncomfortable he would have been when you look at these, when things that are taking place in white communities, when white people are dying? How y'all would have felt if he would have said the chickens are coming home to roost? How would y'all have felt if, because y'all love to run with Dr. King rhetoric? The same people that's listening to this man, that hold on, that attach themselves to these politics, they love running with Dr. King rhetoric. But Dr. King sound like a sharecropper. You want somebody who talks like Malcolm X. No, the fuck you don't. No, the fuck you don't. And to even like invoke Malcolm X's name, bruh, that's static. There's nothing about Malcolm X that you would respect, and there's nothing about you that Malcolm X would respect. Why are you bringing up this man's name, asking why people don't talk like it? You know it. Justin Pearson can't talk like Malcolm. I mean, it's crazy that I literally got to explain this. Justin Pearson can't talk like Malcolm X because y'all would call him. Y'all would say that it was hate speech. Justin Pearson can't talk like Malcolm X because y'all would feel threatened. You would be scared, Tucker, if Justin Pearson talked like Malcolm X. Terrified. This is why Tucker Carlson being fired is so damn dangerous. Because now this was racism light. This was Tucker light. He don't gotta be Tucker white no more. He ain't gotta be Tucker light no more. When he was asking himself why, like when he said a sharecropper, go ahead and say what you really wanted to say. You really wanted to say Justin Pearson was talking like a slave. You can say that on whatever podcast you about to get millions of dollars to do. Cause like let's be real here. Podcasting as the new independent media, as much as of a benefit that we have, like, I mean, we do this is technically considered a podcast, whatever. But as much as the benefit that we have, it has literally been the basis, the foundation for where misinformation has come from. It is the main place where people who want to remain misinformed because they want information to confirm their biases. They want information that's going to make them feel better about their bigotry. Find a podcast. Hop on YouTube. And with Tucker being a known commodity, that's about to be something that's that's actually going to be even more lucrative for the man. This is why this becomes dangerous. This was the video I wanted to show y'all tomorrow. I said tomorrow. This is the video I wanted to show y'all yesterday of where, like, this is not just, oh, I don't like his politics. Let's be clear about this real quick before we get into the video. This is not, I just don't like his politics. This is not, oh, I'm running with Democratic talking points and I'm fighting the people that Democrats want me to fight. This is not that. I'm about to show y'all why Tucker Carlson is literally making the world more dangerous for black people, people of color, for women, etc. Now, let's listen to this rhetoric.
Great replacement? Yeah, it's not a conspiracy theory. It's their electoral strategy. And we know that because they say it all the time. Here's some examples.
Now, listen to that. He said the great replacement theory It's a conspiracy. He's saying, is it? For those who missed it or wasn't part of the conversation yesterday, let me pull that up. The Great Replacement Theory. What is that specifically? And again, the Great Replacement Theory is really a way for, is really just a way for them to talk about what's called white genocide without actually saying white genocide. Okay? So let's go here. Again, white replacement theory. Really working. All right, there we go. All right. Replacement theory. Great replacement. Where it's at? All right, boom. Great replacement theory. Because we also we gotta show where we gotta really show where it came from though, or what they really want to say. Great replacement theory, a white nationalist far right conspiracy theory disseminated by French author Renaud Camus. The original theory states that with the complicity or cooperation of replaces elites, the ethnic French and white European populations at large are being demographically and culturally replaced with non-white peoples, especially Muslim majority countries, through mass migration. All right, these people are trying to explain to you that what started with this French phenomenon of people saying, "Hey, y'all letting all these Muslims in the country? They trying to replace us." So when he's saying that, this theory, wait. Is it a theory? Is it a conspiracy? This is what he's talking about. So he's defending the idea that white people are being replaced. We're gonna talk about why that's dangerous. But great replacement theory is the cable news version. Remember, we're talking about why Tucker Carlson will become more dangerous with him losing his job at Fox News. Great replacement theory is the cable news version of the white genocide conspiracy theory. They can't say white genocide on cable news. They can't say white genocide on Fox News, right? Because it's too closely, directly connected to the things that actual real life white supremacists complain about. And so now that he's not on Fox News no more, he can specifically talk about the white genocide theory, which is a white supremacist conspiracy theory that states that there is a deliberate plot, often blamed on Jews, to promote miscegenation, interracial kids, interracial marriage, mass non-white immigration, racial integration, low fertility rates, abortion, governmental land confiscation from whites, organized violence, and the elimination in white-founded countries in order to cause extinctions of whites through forced assimilation, mass immigration, and violent genocide. These people are saying that, like, they're in their circles. So that, like, you know how we got conscious community, and in places like the conscious community, people are talking about how certain white institutions are trying to wipe us out. They trying to control us. They trying to get us up out of there, right? And us in our circles, we're having these conversations, but from the standpoint of how do we build black people? When these conversations are happening, like similarly amongst white communities, so black people are saying the white man trying to kill us. These crazy white people are saying the government's trying to kill us. While we're like, okay, how do we build the black community? They're like, oh, we need to fight back. They're like, oh, they're trying to wipe us out. They're trying to take out, like, destroy the white race. They're trying to completely dilute white blood. We have to do something about that. This makes them more violent. So when we hear Tucker Carlson talk about, and I'm gonna stop saying so, Tucker. When we hear Tucker talk about these conversations of the great replacement theory, right? This conspiracy that most people in media are saying is just that. It's a conspiracy. This is Tucker's take on it.
The great replacement? Yeah, it's not a conspiracy theory. It's their electoral strategy. And we know that because they say it all the time.
Right. Okay. So right now, what we're seeing him say is this thing that says white people are trying to be wiped out. They're just saying it's a theory. I'm saying they're actually doing it in their politics. Y'all don't recognize how dangerous that is for black people? Because what is he saying that they're trying, how is he saying they're trying to replace us?
Some examples.
Blue wave is African American. It's white, it's Latino, it's Asian Pacific Islander. It is made up of those who've been told that they are not worthy of being here. It is comprised of those who are documented and undocumented.
In a couple of presidents.
Listen to what he's saying the great replacement theory is being justified by. Stacey Abrams is saying that this blue wave, right, that took place is because black people and people of color and women and other traditionally marginalized groups are involved in the electoral process. We're involved. We're voting. He's sparking the fear of mixed babies, of white race being wiped out, simply because black people are voting, simply because we're actually being reflected in the electoral process. Do y'all see the difference? Miss me with this both sides nonsense. How would y'all trying to tell us that, you know, like there's these things going on both sides? There's one side to racism. It looks different ways, but it's only one side to it. And simply allowing black people to take part in the electoral process is being framed as wiping white people out. We can't have decent political conversation with people who have this mentality. Our presence is viewed as a threat to them. What else is Tucker Carlson saying is wiping white people out?
Cycles, you'll be on election night. You'll be announcing that we're calling the 38 electoral votes of Texas for the Democratic nominee for president. It's changing. It's going to become a purple state and then a blue state because of the demographics.
The demographics of America are not on the side of the Republican Party. The new voters in this country are moving away from them, and instead they're moving to be independents or to even vote on the other side.
He's not wrong. And he's not lying. And it's not a bad thing. The reason why these new voting blocks aren't on the side of Republicans, as was being stated, was because conservative policies usually work to the detriment of those people. If there were, and this is just being honest, right? People of color, whether we talking black people, whether we talking Latino people, whatever group of people, like we are not as wedded to our race to the point where just because somebody don't look like us, we can't follow them. We've already figured out how to do that. We figured out how to follow and vote for politicians that have actively said they don't fuck with us, they don't rock with us. So we don't live in a world where if there were white politicians, if there were white conservatives that were actually coming up with policies that were productive for black people in black communities, yeah, more black people would vote for more conservatives. But when it's like we forget that there is something known in Republican politics as the Southern strategy. There is something known in political electoral politics known as the Southern strategy. What that is, let me stop. I don't want to. Y'all let me know if I'm talking like a sharecropper. I don't want to be accused of talking like a sharecropper. But the Southern strategy is when conservative politicians and conservative candidates rely on the racist attitudes of the South to make sure that they like, boom, we got that voting block. We gonna come out and we gonna say something that's against black people, that's against gays, that's against Latinos, that's against any non-white or group. And with us doing that, we've solidified the white Southern racist voting block. Period. And it's not, and that's not a conspiracy. Does anybody else remember the fact that Donald Trump came out and flat out said from the get-go at the beginning, Mexicans, they probably good people, some of them, but they sending over rapists. They're sending over drugs. Why did he say Mexicans? Because he knew that there's a trigger in the white racist brain to be like Mexican and they rapists and they drugs. Bring them over. Yeah, let's get them up out of there. Cool. Let's bring Trump in. Him. The one that said he against the Mexicans. The man literally campaigned on building a fence, like to block out a whole group of people, like a whole nation from coming over here, and said the other nation was going to do it. That's the Southern strategy. That's relying on racism to get votes. If I say something racist, I know a racist person that either believes it overtly or kind of believe it, but not going to say it out loud. They going to vote for me. That's why these voting blocks aren't voting for conservatives. It's not because they're trying to replace white people. We don't have, I mean, to be honest, we could talk about the circumstances of blackness and us as black people, but if we was replacing y'all minded, oh, this country, y'all would have it a lot worse. Y'all would have it a lot worse. If we had kind of like the fucked up nature that we have seen from whiteness and in this country, it would be bad for y'all. It would be terrible for y'all if we had that same. But we're willing to look at a white politician that could do something productive or that could help our community and say we'll vote for you. We're not going to just completely exclude you because you're white. We've never had the luxury to do that, and that's literally the basis for why black people vote Democratic now. If we wanted to replace white people, why the hell are we voting Democrat? Y'all can complain and say that we're the reason why, like, people of color are always the reason why these people are elected, and then turn around and say we want to replace them. Because if we wanted to replace their position in politics, black people would stop voting for other races altogether. No more black and brown. All right, ARE Radio. Hey, keep it cool. Don't get your ass blocked. I ain't gonna assume what you mean by that, but matter of fact, clear that up. ARE Radio said no more black and brown. Clear up. What you mean no more black and brown? What that mean? Help me out. I don't want to put nothing on you you don't deserve, but that's a funny statement to make. I may have to give out some wrenches to watch y'all. But anyway, let's continue.
Unrelenting stream of immigration, non-stop. Folks like me who were Caucasian of European descent, for the first time in 2017, will be in an absolute minority.
It terrified them. This is 2015. White people being the minority? Oh my God. White people being in the minority? They're trying to replace us.
United States of America. Absolute minority. Fewer than 50% of the people in America from then and on will be white European stock. That's not a bad thing. That's a source of our strength.
So how is that a source of our strength? He never explained. So clearly it's the source of the Democratic Party's strength, they believe, though actually that plan might not work out for them since a lot of the people arriving may not be sympathetic to Joe Biden, who possibly could be. But electoral politics are really secondary to the real concern, which is the stability of the country.
Now, this is where Tucker is going to become more dangerous, y'all. Oh, okay, ARE Radio, foundational. We not, okay, all right. I get what you mean. I just want you to clear that up. I appreciate you adding that. We are foundational people. I get that. But this is where Tucker becomes more dangerous, y'all. What he's saying is this ain't having all these extra people over here. It's not a strength. It doesn't benefit us. Tucker Carlson is one of those people who believe that diversity is actually something that's harming this country. Diversity is something that's actually become dangerous to this country. And he is not alone, or are these beliefs new? There are a wide variety of individuals who operate from that same understanding, from that same perspective. And the reason why this is dangerous is that as Tucker Carlson moves from mainstream media to independent, underground podcasting, YouTube, and media, what then happens is the people who don't even respect Fox News, he's even more legitimized to them. Because The people that's causing us the most harm, the most danger, they start with Fox News, but they start to dig a little bit deeper. Now, again, as we talked about the white genocide theory, white replacement theory, I'm always going to make sure that we as a people are reminded about what that actually leads to. Tucker Carlson is on his TV show casually referring to black people or people of color coming into this country as a problem, as an issue, as a detriment, casually. And we may look at that and be like, well, he's on the news. He got a right to say what he want to say. He has a right to have that perspective on his own. But I talked about it yesterday, again, briefly. And I know my, stuff was kind of messed up, so I want to touch over it again. But when you look at some of the worst tragedies that have taken place, that's happened to black people, what we'll see is that if we look at the Charleston church shooting, and if we look at the Tops grocery store shooting in Buffalo, New York, Tucker Carlson is just as responsible for inspiring them type of individuals. Don't just take my word for it. Here we go. 2022 Buffalo shooting. Right? The perpetrator. The gunman identified in court as Peyton S. Gendron is a white man, 18-year-old at the time of the crime. He traveled to the supermarket from his hometown of Conklin, New York, for 3.5 hours. He drove 3.5 hours in order to commit this act of violence on these black people. Now, why is Tucker Carlson implicated in this? Why are we relating this back to the Great Replacement theory? Well, if you look at his manifesto, which was 180 pages, you'll see that he developed American neo-Nazi, anti-Semitic, eco-fascist, ethno-nationalist, populist, and white supremacist views. Tucker Carlson complaining about other ethnicities coming into this country is an issue because Tucker Carlson is a ethno-nationalist. He claims to have adopted these ideological stances after he visited the discussion board, poll in 4chan, and image board, the Daily Storm, as well as website The Daily Stormer, beginning in May in 2020. Again, these is independent media places. What is he learning from these places? Well, the white boy who shot up Tops grocery store, the white terrorist, his manifesto primarily promotes the white nationalist and far-right Great Replacement conspiracy theory. The one that Tucker Carlson saying is not a theory. The ideology that's being casually discussed by Tucker Carlson is like, wait, how is it a theory? Look, they're saying they want to replace us. Multiple black people murdered out of a fear that is being stoked by people like Tucker Carlson. And they just took the chains off of him. That's not a good look. This is not a question of political differences. This is not a question of whether or not people just simply disagree with you. The type of shit that Tucker Carlson speaks on inspires people to go out and commit mass murder. We can't have this conversation without talking about what happened in Charleston. Dylan Roof. Let's go down to the perpetrator. Dylan Storm Roof was known as the killer. His Facebook page included an image of Roof wearing a jacket decorated with two emblems that are popular among white supremacists. Where we at? Let's go down here. This is where I think it's the most crazy. In his manifesto, where we at? The website included, on June 20, bloggers discovered a website called The Last Rhodesian. It had been registered to Dylan Roof. The website included what appeared to be unsigned manifesto containing Roof's opinions of blacks, Jews, and Hispanics and East Asians, as well as a cache of photos, including an image of Roof posing with a handgun and the Confederate battle flag. In this manifesto, Roof says he became racially aware as a result of the 2012 killing of Trayvon Martin. So he's literally saying that he came up on game with a young black kid being killed, writing that when he learned about the incident, he read about it, concluding that George Zimmerman had been in the right. So this little white boy heard about what happened with Trayvon, looked into it, and was like, yeah, that little Negro. Oh, I appreciate you, ARE Radio. Shout out to you. Appreciate the love. What happened with Trayvon? Like, this is literally that. It wasn't that a white kid got killed. Y'all, like, walk with me on this. It wasn't that a white kid got killed. Dylan Roof was inspired to hate black people by seeing a black child be murdered. It inspired him to go to a website called Council of Conservative Citizens. Council of Conservative Citizens, y'all. The Council of Conservative Citizens is where he was able to read pages upon pages of cases involving black people murdering white people. Roof wrote that he had never been the same since that day. White genocide theory. Dylan Roof was inspired to go into a church, pray with those black people in that church, and then murder the people that he prayed with simply because he was under the belief that black people are attempting to kill all white people. From the basis of we're trying to replace them. And it ain't even close. That ain't even close to what black people are thinking or how black people are moving. Like, there are no crazy militant mainstream black political movements. Let's just be real about the reality of where we're living. There are no mainstream black political movement or militant movements. Not one. And even if you look at some of even if you look at some of the least popular black movements, they not telling black people to go kill white people. Black movements are about black people learning about themselves, loving themselves, learning about their own spirituality. It's more black people focused on like relearning and religion and understanding, the greatness of ancient Kemet than it is niggas actually talking about going out there and replacing white folk. We as a people, we're literally going back. Like, okay, let's reclaim some shit. Let's reclaim things that have been taken from us. Our focus, our movements, our pedagogies is not centered around taking over shit that white people, even if it should be. Even if it should be. Even if it works to our benefit, right? Even if we look at what's going on with whiteness and how we treat it in this country, even if there's a legitimate argument that black people should be violent, that black people should be out there in the streets, that black people should be, it's not. We're not doing it. But people like Tucker Carlson are actually convincing young white people like Dylan Roof, like the other white boy with the weird funny name, these murderers, these terrorists. Tucker Carlson is inspiring these people to make the world less or more dangerous for people that look like me, for people that look like us. And he was given the platform to do it on primetime TV. But now that he's been removed from primetime TV, in an era where anything mainstream is immediately called into question, in an era where everything that is popularized is immediately called into question, being fired from Fox News is a badge of honor to these type of people. It's a badge of honor. So as we...
Our grand...
Not yet, because we better talk about them next. Tucker Carlson being fired is a badge of honor. Where does that lead him to? If you look at some of the most popular white nationalist, white supremacist movements, what you will see is that you're not going to see any of their biggest names and biggest faces on Fox News. You're not going to see some of the most dangerous rhetoric that is being proliferated in these independent spaces where Tucker Carlson will soon end up. You're not going to see it on Fox News. Let me give you an example. Let me give you an example. You got people like, let's see. Steve Bannon. People like Steve Bannon. What does he say here? Let them call you racist. Wear it as a badge of honor. This is the place that where when people are excluded from mainstream conservative movements, they end up in the places where Steve Bannon go. Steve Bannon was kicked out. They dismissed him. Oh, he's a loon. He's a kook. But he's still being booked. He still has a very popular podcast. He has a very, yes, melodious rambling. Tuck can go wild now. And these are the type of statements that they make. Steve Bannon was a regular on Fox News. When Steve Bannon started saying things that Fox News had to distance themselves away from, that didn't stop him from saying shit like this. Let's take a look at his words. This is what they're saying. Let them call you racist. Wear it as a badge of honor. Ain't nobody being shamed by being called racist no more. Nobody's being shamed by being called racist no more. Former White House chief strategist Steve Bannon on Saturday told a crowd of far-right French politicians to let people label them as racist. Consider it a badge of honor. Remember, this was the senior advisor to Donald Trump. He said, let them call you racist. Let them call you xenophobes. Let them call you nativists. Wear it as a badge of honor because every day we get stronger and they get weaker. What? Y'all worried about what the Democrats out here doing? Y'all worried about Democrats pandering, lying, doing what politicians do? They out here telling y'all like, yeah, call us racist. Because y'all think that's doing something. Yeah, call us racist. Because y'all think that's going to hurt us feelings. We don't give a fuck about cancel culture. This the standpoint they coming from. Fuck cancel culture. Call me racist. Be proud of it. Wear it as a badge of honor. Black people are still arguing about whether or not it's okay for us to say nigga to each other. What that sound like? We still trying to figure out the language that we using amongst ourselves. Is it okay to say nigga? Should we be called black? Well, I don't want to be black because black is a color. It ain't a black in Black's Law Dictionary mean you socially dead. I don't want to be called that. We call ourselves Moors. We call ourselves Israelites, Hebrews. We calling ourselves. We trying to figure out just how we should be seen as a whole, while the people who don't give a fuck what we call ourselves, the people who could care less what we call ourselves, is being like, cool. We don't care what y'all call yourselves, but we don't give a fuck about being called racist. But we fighting about being called black. And Steve Bannon has never been anywhere near as popular as Tucker Carlson. But you don't think Tucker Carlson and Steve Bannon share these types of beliefs and understandings? Remember, that somebody is now about to pay Tucker millions to say shit like this. Millions to say shit like this. But that's not it. Y'all ever heard of this nigga, Nick Fuentes? Y'all ever heard of Nick Fuentes, Kanye homeboy? Let's take a look at let's take a look at at the type of shit. Again, these are our political enemies. We have to pay attention to these people. While we're sitting around in our cushy little 2023, hey, you know, it's 2023. We'll punch a racist. I'll fight it. Cancel culture. People are scared. Yeah, the racists, they don't want to be canceled. Bro, the racists don't give a fuck about being canceled. We think shaming somebody and putting them on TikTok. We think just because we get them fired from their job. We think just because we go viral talking shit about them, that means that they're not powerful. That they're not coming together. That they're not working together. That they not focused on what their mission is. Fucking over people of color. Fucking over black people. Fucking over women. Fucking over gays. Queer folk. They saying it's the strongest ever. Look, they not running away from their beliefs.
Grandparents were right. Okay? Grandparents were right. Okay? Our grandparents were right. Our grandparents fought in World War II, and our grandparents built the skyscrapers, and our grandparents built this country. And you know what? They had certain attitudes, and they were right. Okay? And
Man, he's being coy. I picked the clip where he's playing coy. But what is he saying when he's saying our grandparents were right? And they build this country and they build skyscrapers. And they may have had some attitudes, but they're right. He's literally saying that they right about racism. This is what independent conservative media looks like.
And our parents thought that our grandparents were crazy. You know, our parents were like, Mom, Dad, you know, you really shouldn't treat people like that. You know, that's really prejudice. And, you know, Mom, Dad, I ain't trying to do whatever I want. And now you have shirtless black people accosting you in a very...
There you go. There you go. Somehow, your grandparents being racist turns into you got shirtless black people accosting you. There you go. Come on. What yes. Should we feel a way about conservative or Democrats pandering? Yes. Should we have beef with liberals in the ways that, you know, they real, you know, surface level and they don't really get too deep and they too willing to work with people that, yes, that's the beef that we should have. But one of the biggest names in the crazy voices is literally coming to a space where he's about to be peers with Nick Fuentes now. The type of shit Nick Fuentes be on. These people go to these independent spaces. They go to these podcasts like how I got my setup and shit. And they you know, he got his little green screen and shit behind him. Similar to what I'm doing. They could do it the same way. But the difference is old racism is so much more popular. Nick Fuentes saying that his grandparents were right about racism. Oh, that gets so many more views. Like I've always said that if I didn't have integrity, I would do what Kevin Samuels did. I would take some shit that I don't really believe, and I would run with it because I know those talking points just to build an audience. If I was that type of nigga, I unfortunately I don't have that type of character. Because I know the like all of the conservative race talking points, I could literally put on a character, put on an act, infiltrate these spaces, and be one of these voices. And I'm gonna show y'all. Let me see. I don't know if I got it pulled up. I think I got it pulled up, but I'm gonna show y'all what black people sound like that be on this type of bullshit. But it would be easy. Conservatives are looking for black people to be on this type of bullshit. Like, listen. This is what he's saying about his grandparents.
Like that, you know, that's really prejudice. And, you know, Mom, Dad, I ain't trying to do whatever I want. And now you have shirtless black people accosting you.
On Fox News, Tucker can't say shit like that. Wherever Nick Fuentes gets off his information, he can, though. On his little podcast, he can, though. Because what's going to happen is Tucker's going from Fox News to Spotify. Fox News to Apple Podcasts. Because Apple Podcasts don't give a fuck about this type of shit. You can have all type of white supremacist, racist Apple Podcasts. Shit, all they care about is shit being uploaded to their site. So people like Nick Fuentes and people like Steve Bannon on their podcast can sit and stoke these fears about black people. Rile these people up about black people. And not take the responsibility when the people that listen to them get up and then commit the acts of violence that we've seen in places like Charleston and in places like Buffalo, New York. Let's finish what this weirdo got to say.
In a very expensive resort in Las Vegas. So clearly our grandparents were right. Okay, they weren't politically correct, and they were in fact racist, but they were right. And Generation Z has got to recover the lost wisdom of our racist grandparents.
This nigga just said that the next generation has to come into the lost knowledge of their grandparents. What happened to, well, y'all can't blame us for what our ancestors did. What happened to, well, you know, our ancestors may have did bad things, but you can't put that on us. Like, people today, what? These folks are saying, like, no, let's go back into believing. And as much as I would love for the people that's like, oh, Nick Fuentes, like, he's just this fringe internet guy with millions of followers. 1 million people listen to this guy, Nick Fuentes. 1 million people listen to the dude who attempts to say that maybe we should be as racist as our grandparents were. What are we saying? Black Gen Z, we getting mad about them for caring about mental health. We get mad at them for caring about you know, what's happening with queer communities. We get mad at the young people for caring about what's going on with the environment. But our enemies, our social and political enemies, are getting mad at their next generation for not being racist. Are we competing properly? Are we competing in a way to where we know what the hell is actually going on? What do we get? What we complain about TikTok. Young people on TikTok. Young folks on TikTok. This nigga saying, hey, nah, our problem is that we're not as racist as we should be. This is literally our competition. So you go from people like Nick Fuentes. And the funny thing about Nick Fuentes is when we look at what happened with Kanye, that's the nigga that Kanye was chilling with. Did y'all forget about that? When they was talking about, oh, Kanye is chilling with this white, the nigga that's going around telling the Generation Z that, hey, you need to reclaim the lost racist attitudes and knowledge of our ancestors. That's who Kanye rock with. That's his partner. And I know I've been ranting. I appreciate everybody that's been involved. And let me do a quick check in with the chat. Shout out to Melonious Ramblings, Spinderesque, ARE Radio, Live Style Rewind, Avenge the Ancestors. Thank y'all for joining me. Now that I got, you know what I'm saying, all my shit set up right, y'all gonna see more of these morning shows when I got the opportunity, when I don't have work in the morning. But I definitely thank y'all for being here. It sounds like everything been cool, you know what I'm saying, because ain't nobody said that they can't hear me or it sound bad or whatever. So I'm assuming that it's going the way that it should go, better than it did yesterday. So I appreciate y'all being here. We gonna finish up soon. It's been an hour. For everybody that's been here the whole hour, appreciate y'all. Everybody that left, that came back, appreciate y'all. Like I said, we'll be back Thursday, but we can finish this up real quick. So, Kanye West, one of the biggest stars in black culture, is chilling with this nigga that's saying we need to adopt the racist attitudes of our grandparents. Okay. Kanye also rocked with Alex Jones, another mainstay. Actually, really, Alex Jones is, I'll probably consider him I will probably consider Alex Jones the godfather of crazy, alt-right, fringe, independent media. Now, I'm sure it's like some people older than Alex Jones in terms of, like, y'all know they had pirate radio, like old radio stations, like independent radio shows and all of that. But in the era of social media, and independent media, in the era of podcasts and social media, Alex Jones has been running shit. He recently got into his own issue. Again, talking too damn much. Got sued for millions. You feel me? For denying what happened in Sandy Hook. Let's think about that for just a second. There are independent media places where people just sit and say tragedies like what happened in Sandy Hook wasn't real. Wasn't real. And they get legitimized even in black spaces where most black people don't know shit about Alex Jones. Don't really give a damn about Alex Jones. But Alex Jones becomes legitimized when somebody like Kanye, who is a part of our culture, actually start representing and be a part of this type of shit. Once all the mainstream media, once he got in trouble with our homies over at Drink Champs, Nori and them. Once Nori and them took that shit down and was like, nah, bro, we can't be rocking with shit like that. And he lost that mainstream appeal. Kanye literally went down to independent media spaces and got worse. He went down to independent media spaces and got worse. Went to Alex Jones shit and started praising Hitler. I mean, yeah, the shit that he was saying on Drink Champs was wild. But these types of platforms embolden, like the wildness, like these independent media platforms encourage niggas to take it to the next level. Tucker Carlson ain't about to be no different. He knows that this is where the bread is at. He knows that he needs to go to where Candace Owens and Alex Jones operates. Because not only are they getting bread, not only are they getting paid to be on this type of bullshit, they don't have the limits. They don't have to worry about being politically correct. That type of nonsense. That's why Kanye felt emboldened and empowered to go down to Alex Jones shit and big up Hitler. What'd he say? The conversation, if it could be called that, began with some light patter with Jones saying, even Alex Jones said, I don't like Nazis. I don't like what some of the mafias are doing either. This nigga Kanye said, I like Hitler. That's what these wild places encourage. That's what they encourage. You ever heard of Charlie Kirk? Again, somebody else who exploits the racial divide to reach the younger generation. Charlie Kirk went on tour after what happened with George Floyd. After the way that he was treated, Charlie Kirk took that as an opportunity to be like, nah, I'm about to go out here and go on tour complaining about how black people want us to talk about racism when we shouldn't have to. Let's go here. It says, now the 28-year-old is expanding his reach, trying to rally the next generation of aggrieved white conservatives. On a tour of college towns, he blasts schools and local governments for teaching about racism with a confrontational style some call dangerous. Yet Kirk is drawing large crowds of millennials and Gen Zers, millions of online followers and donor cash, often with little media attention. And we complaining about our young folk on TikTok. Young white kids are being inspired, are being educated, are learning from some of the most racist millennials. The people from my generation that's going around talking about the racism of our grandparents, the racism of the past. We ain't got no reason to let that shit go. We're white. That's what we dealing with. Tucker Carlson is going to add to this cacophony of voices. He's going to add to this detriment, to this danger. Everybody I just named is making the world dangerous for black people, for people of color. All of these people are people with millions of followers. Millions. And the message that they preach is inspiring violence against people that look like us. Tucker Carlson did not take no L yesterday. Tucker Carlson wasn't dealing with no issue, ain't gonna be dealing with no issues from being let go by Fox News. But the reason why we should care is because there is direct evidence. We see it directly. I cried when I heard about what happened in Charleston and when I heard about what happened in Buffalo. Tears. Heartbroken. Because of what we got to endure as a people. We forget that the definition of terrorism and the role that terrorists play is only for people to be scared all the time, because you never know when that type of violence is gonna happen. Like when the 9/11 happened, it was only done to scare white America. When them things took place, it was only when the Marathon bomb, all the things that we call terrorism in the United States, the purpose of terrorism is literally to put the people in a society in a constant state of fear, because you never know when it's gonna happen. Tucker Carlson, Charlie Kirk, Nick Fuentes, Alex Jones, these are literal white domestic terrorist provocateurs. They inspire white domestic terrorism. And what's even crazy is if you had any Muslim person from Middle Eastern descent, like even having any conversation about well, yeah, white people, we should be scared of white people because they're doing this to us. You will never hear that on any type of mainstream news, any type of mainstream media. But the things that are sparking white supremacist domestic terrorism is allowed to just be just discussed. It's normalized. It's just conversation. Even though what we know from the FBI, what we know about national security is the biggest threat to our domestic security is white supremacists, white nationalists, terrorists. The FBI done already came out and said it. If y'all want me to do a video on that entire report, I can do that too. If anybody should be spoken fear over any group of people, it should be us. Black people. These folks are out here creating the type of media that rouse folks up to do you harm. To do you harm. Yes, it's cool that we focused on reclaiming our religion. We trying to develop our own understandings of blackness. We trying to focus on ways of expressing blackness that's not monolithic. Like, blackness can look different. Man, we can have all these conversations. But what we got to understand is none of that shit should rise to the level of where we can't talk, communicate, build, or understand with one another, because they're not, when Nick Fuentes is speaking to his crowd, when Charlie Kirk is speaking to his crowd, when Tucker Carlson takes his place as the new king of independent white nationalist terrorist media, they not gonna care whether or not you believe that we ancient Egyptians or whether or not you believe that we Hebrew Israelites. They not gonna care whether or not whether you voted Democrat or whether you voted Republican. They're not gonna care whether or not you voted for Joe Biden or whether or not you supported Donald Trump. They're not gonna care who you follow on TikTok. They're not gonna care who you follow or what videos you watch or who you subscribe to on YouTube. The only thing they're gonna care about is the fact that you look like me. Your skin is melanated. That's all they need. That's all they need. Fuck your politics. Fuck your economic situation. Fuck all of that. They're saying black people are replacing white people. Mexicans are trying to replace white people. Asians are trying to replace white people. They don't care about the rest of that shit. We can have our conversations amongst ourselves, but we have to understand that our political and social enemies don't give a fuck about that. And regardless of whether or not we're together as allies working together, when we're together in a group and they choose to commit that violence because they like, y'all not going to replace us, whether or not we both believe that we Israelites ain't going to make too much of a difference. So, Karaya said, I just got in, not sure if you mentioned it, but do you think that Carlson will run for presidency? No, hell no. Hell no. Tucker Carlson is going to take his place in independent right-wing fringe circles. He's going to want to rival the likes of, what's his name, the white boy Joe Rogan. He's going into the Nick Fuentes space. You're going to see him in the same places that you see people like the Charlie Kirk. It's media. It's all about media. Politicians, that's one thing. Media control the people. Media control the way people think. I mean, and we know this because that's all we do is complain about the media. But then we sleep on the danger of the media that we don't like. Right? So, I'm glad we was able to get this one through. It don't look like it was no technical difficulties. It looked like the stream was cool. You know what I mean? Shit wasn't breaking out or nothing. You know what I mean? So the inaugural morning smoke session, it seemed to be kicked off cool. You know what I mean? It seemed to kicked off pretty cool. With that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and get ready to close this thing out. Toya will be back with me Thursday. Shit, I may be back tomorrow, like, cause this one got me feeling good. You know what I mean? So shit, depending on what happened at night, what happened in the morning, I may be back. We may get it back in. You feel me? But for sure, if y'all don't see me no other time up until Thursday, y'all definitely gonna see me Thursday. Y'all definitely gonna see Toya Thursday. We gonna try to get Lee in here as well. So y'all stay tuned. Appreciate all of the support. You know what I mean? Everybody sticking with me. I know we kind of had this conversation yesterday, and we just had to have it today. Again, today it is what it is, but we was able to actually get through it, and it'd be cool. Y'all like, y'all share, subscribe to the Chop Up Show. Follow me on Instagram at The Political Plug, The Chop Up Show on Instagram.